The forest screamed with silence, a stillness so deep it felt alive, as if the trees themselves held their breath. I crouched low, my heart pounding like a war drum, my foxtail twitching beneath the illusion of human skin. He was close Ethan Caldwell, the demon hunter whose name alone sent shivers through every spirit in the Smoky Mountains. I was Kale, a fox spirit, born of moonlight and mischief, tasked by the Council of Ancients with an impossible mission to seduce this man, this relentless slayer of my kind, and bind his heart to mine to save our hidden world. The air was thick with the scent of pine and danger, and as I glimpsed his broad silhouette through the fog, I wondered if my charm could outwit his blade. One wrong move, and I'd be ash before dawn. The Smoky Mountains of Tennessee were my home, a labyrinth of emerald ridges and shadowed hollows where spirits like me thrived unseen. For centuries, my kind fox spirits, tricksters of lore, had danced through these woods, weaving illusions to protect our sacred groves from human greed. But Ethan Caldwell was no ordinary human. At 28, he was a legend among hunters, his name whispered in fear by every spirit from Asheville to Gatlinburg. His family had hunted us for generations, their silver blades etched with runes that burned through our essence like wildfire. And now, the council believed I, Kale, with my quick wit and quicker smile, could make him love me instead of kill me. I adjusted my human guac lean, androgynous form with sharp cheekbones, amber eyes, and silver hair that caught the moonlight like a beacon. The council had chosen me for my charm, my ability to slip into hearts as easily as shadows. But Ethan was different. His eyes, stormy gray and piercing, saw through lies. His hands, calloused from years of wielding weapons, were steady and sure. And his heart, locked tighter than a vault, scarred by a past the spirits only whispered about. I'd watched him for weeks, tracking his movements through the forest. He moved like a predator, all coiled strength and quiet focus, his leather jacket creaking softly as he scanned the trees for signs of us. Last night, he'd come too close, his blade glinting as he passed within yards of my hiding spot. I'd felt the pull of his presence, a strange heat that wasn't just fear. It was something dangerous, something that made my pulse race and my tail flick with curiosity. Tonight, I'd make my move. The council's plan was desperate. If Ethan fell for me, his loyalty might waver, and our groves would be safe. If I failed, his blade would find my heart, and the spirit's last sanctuary would fall. I slipped through the underbrush, my bare feet silent on the damp earth, and found him by a stream, his face illuminated by the soft glow of his campfire. Lost. Stranger, I called, stepping into the light, my voice a teasing lilt. Ethan spun, his hand on the hilt of his blade, his eyes narrowing as they locked onto mine. Up close, he was even more striking, rugged jawline, dark stubble, and a scar that curved along his left cheek like a warning. Not lost, he said, his voice low, gravelly, like the rumble of distant thunder. Just hunting. My lips curved into a smile, sharp and playful. Hunting what? Exactly. Ghosts. Goblins. I stepped closer, letting my illusion shimmer just enough to catch his eye, a flicker of something not quite human. His grip tightened on the blade, but he didn't draw it. Something like you, he said, his gaze unwavering. I laughed, a sound like wind chimes, and tossed my hair back. Me? I'm just a wanderer, looking for good company. I sat on a fallen log, crossing my legs with deliberate ease, watching his reaction. His jaw clenched, but he didn't move. That was a start. Over the next few days, I played my part, appearing where he'd find maybe the stream, in the shadow of an oak, at the edge of a clearing. Each time, I teased him with half-truths, dropping hints of my world while keeping my true nature veiled. He was wary, but curious, his questions sharp as his blade. "What are you really after?" he asked one evening, his voice rough as we sat by his fire. "Maybe I just like the view," I said, leaning closer, letting my eyes linger on his. He didn't flinch, but his breath hitched, and I felt the first crack in his armor. Our encounters grew longer, charged with a tension that wasn't just danger. I told him stories of stars that sang, of forests that breathed, and he listened, his guard lowering inch by inch. One night, as fireflies danced around us, he spoke of his own pain, a sister lost to a spirit's trick, a vow to protect others from the same fate. His voice broke, and I felt a pang, not just for my mission, but for him. By the 10th night, I was reckless. I let my tail slip free, a silver arc in the moonlight, and waited for his reaction. He froze, his hand on his blade, but his eyes held more wonder than hate. "What are you?" he whispered. "Your move?" "Hunter," I said, heart pounding, praying I'd gambled right. The fire crackled between us, its warmth no match for the chill in Ethan's stare as my silver tail flicked in the moonlight. I'd revealed myself, a fox spirit laid bare before a man trained to destroy me. His hand hovered over his blade, but his eyes, those stormy gray eyes, betrayed a flicker of something softer, something I could work with. "I should end you right now," he said, his voice a low growl. But he didn't move. That hesitation was my opening. "Yet here we are, talking," I replied, keeping my tone light. My body relaxed despite the adrenaline screaming through me. "Maybe you're not as heartless as the stories say." He scoffed, but his hand dropped from the hilt. "Don't test me, Fox. I know what your kind does: tricking, seducing, destroying." I leaned forward, letting my amber eyes catch the firelight. "And I know what your kind does: hunting, slaying, never asking why we hide." I stood, slow and deliberate, letting my tail brush the ground. "I'm not here to hurt you, Ethan. I'm here because I have to be." His brow furrowed, but he didn't reach for his blade again. "Why?" he asked, the word sharp but curious. I took a risk, stepping closer, close enough to feel the heat of his body. "Because my people are dying. Your hunts are closing in, and our groves, the last safe places, are fading. I was sent to stop you." His laugh was bitter. "By what?" "Charming me to death." I grinned, sharp and reckless. "Something like that." The next few nights were a dance of words and glances, each encounter a step closer to trust or disaster. I showed him glimpses of my world, moss that glowed under moonlight, streams that whispered secrets. He followed, wary but drawn, like a moth to a flame he didn't trust. I learned more about him. His sister, Lily, had been lured by a rogue spirit, her death fueling his crusade. He carried her locket, a silver weight around his neck, and I saw the guilt in his eyes when he spoke of her. One evening, as we sat on a ridge overlooking the misty valley, I let my human guise slip further, revealing pointed ears and a faint shimmer of my true form. "You don't have to hate us," I said softly. "We're not all monsters." He stared at me, his jaw tight. "You expect me to believe that after everything I've seen?" "I expect you to see me," I countered, holding his gaze. "Not the stories, not the blade, just me." He didn't answer, but he didn't leave either. That night, he let me sit closer, our shoulders brushing as we watched the stars. I felt his warmth, his heartbeat, and something in me stirred a longing that wasn't just part of the mission. The council was growing impatient. Bind him or end him, they urged through their ancient whispers, their voices carried on the wind. But I was falling, not just for the plan, but for Ethan himself. His rare smiles, the way his voice softened when he spoke of his childhood, the way his hand lingered near mine without drawing away, it was dangerous. And I was drowning in it. One night, a trap closed in. Another hunter, a zealot named Marcus, had tracked Ethan, suspecting he was faltering. Marcus cornered us in a clearing, his blade gleaming with runes. "You're soft, Caldwell," he spat, "consorting with this thing." Ethan stepped between us, his stance protective. "Back off, Marcus. This isn't your call." Marcus lunged, and I acted on instinct, weaving an illusion to blind him, a swirl of mist and shadow. Ethan tackled him, pinning him to the ground, but not before Marcus's blade grazed my arm, burning like fire through my essence. I staggered, and Ethan's eyes widened with something like fear. "You're hurt," he said, his voice tight as he bound Marcus and turned to me. "It's nothing," I lied, but the pain was real, and so was the look in his eyes. The wound from Marcus's blade throbbed, a searing reminder that my time was running out. Ethan knelt beside me, his hand steady as he tore a strip from his shirt to bind my arm. His touch was gentle, but his eyes were a storm of conflict, duty warring with something deeper. "You didn't have to do that," I said, my voice shaky as I nodded toward Marcus, now bound and unconscious in the clearing. Ethan's jaw tightened. "He'd have killed you." I raised an eyebrow, forcing a smirk despite the pain. "And you haven't." He didn't answer, just tied the makeshift bandage tighter. The silence between us was heavy, filled with unspoken truths. I'd been sent to manipulate him, to save my people by any means necessary. But every moment with him blurred the line between mission and desire. We moved to a hidden cave, one of my kind's old sanctuaries, its walls glowing faintly with ancient runes. Ethan helped me sit, his hands lingering longer than needed. "Tell me the truth, Cale," he said, his voice low. "What's the endgame here?" I swallowed, my tail curling around me like a shield. "The council wants you on our side. They think if you care for me, you'll stop hunting us." His laugh was sharp, humorless. "And you? What do you want?" I looked at him, my amber eyes meeting his gray ones. "I didn't expect to want you." He froze, his breath catching. For a moment, the world was just us, the cave's glow, the distant hum of the forest, the weight of his gaze. Then he stood, pacing like a caged animal. "This is insane," he muttered. "You're a spirit. I'm a hunter. This doesn't end well." "It could," I said, standing despite the pain, "if you let it." The next few days were a whirlwind of stolen moments. We explored the forest together, me showing him its secrets, him sharing stories of his life, his sister's laugh, his mother's cooking, the weight of his family's legacy. I let my guard down, letting him see my true form more often. My fox ears twitching, my tail brushing his leg. He didn't flinch anymore. And once, his fingers grazed my tail, curious and careful. But danger was never far. The council sent warnings through the wind, their voices sharp. "Finish it, Cale." Hunters were closing in, Marcus's allies sniffing out Ethan's betrayal. And Ethan himself was torn, his locket a constant reminder of his vow. One night, under a sky ablaze with stars, I kissed him. It was reckless, desperate, my lips soft against his rough ones. He kissed me back, fierce and hungry, his hands tangling in my silver hair. For a moment, we were just Cale and Ethan, not spirit and hunter, not pawn and weapon. Then the forest erupted. Hunters burst through the trees, blades gleaming, led by a woman named Clara, her eyes cold as steel. You've gone soft. Caldwell. She snarled. Her blade aimed at me. Ethan drew his own blade, standing between me and her. Leave him be, he said, his voice steady. Clara sneered. He's got you bewitched. No, Ethan said, glancing at me, his eyes fierce. He's got me alive. The clearing was a battlefield. Hunters circling like wolves, their blades glowing with runes that could end me in a heartbeat. Ethan stood firm, his body a shield between me and Clara's wrath, his own blade drawn but trembling slightly. I felt the weight of my mission, the council's demands, and the ache in my chest that had nothing to do with the wound on my arm. Step aside, Ethan, Clara said, her voice ice cold. This ends now. No, he said, his stance unyielding. Kill's not what you think. I wanted to believe him, to trust the fire in his eyes. But fear gnawed at me. I'd been sent to seduce him, to save my people. But somewhere along the way, I'd fallen for him hard, real, and terrifying. Now, with blades closing in, I wondered if love was enough. Ethan, don't, I whispered, my tail curling tight around my legs. They'll kill you too. He glanced back, his gray eyes soft for a moment. Then we go down together. The fight was chaos. I wove illusions mist, shadows, false trails to confuse the hunters. But their runes cut through my magic like knives. Ethan fought with a fury I hadn't seen, his blade clashing with Clara's, sparks flying in the dark. I darted between trees, drawing hunters away, my wound burning but my focus sharp. We were outnumbered, outmatched, but Ethan fought for me, not his vow. Clara landed a blow, her blade grazing Ethan's side. He grunted but didn't falter, knocking her back with a fierce swing. I rushed to him, my hands glowing with healing magic, pressing it to his wound. You're an idiot, I muttered, tears stinging my eyes. Says the fox who kissed me. He shot back, a ghost of a smile on his lips. We retreated, stumbling through the forest to a sacred grove, its ancient trees pulsing with power. The hunters were close, their shouts echoing, but the grove's magic slowed them, its roots tripping their steps. I collapsed against a tree, Ethan beside me, both of us bloodied and breathless. They'll keep coming, he said, his voice rough. For you. For me. Then we run, I said, my hand finding his. Together. He looked at me, his locket glinting in the moonlight. I swore to protect people. Kale. Not to hunt for hate. Lily wouldn't want that. I nodded, my throat tight. So what now? He squeezed my hand, his grip firm. We find a way. For us. For your people. The council wouldn't be pleased. But I didn't care. We fled the grove, heading deeper into the mountains, where human eyes rarely wandered. The forest welcomed us, its whispers softening as we ran, hand in hand, spirit and hunter bound by something stronger than duty love, fragile but fierce. Months later, we found a hidden valley, a place where spirits and humans could coexist, a sanctuary built on trust. Ethan laid down his blade, choosing me over his past. I taught him the forest's secrets, and he taught me how to heal a heart scarred by loss. The hunters still searched, but we were ghosts now, slipping through their grasp. Our love wasn't just survival, it was defiance. A promise that even a fox spirit and a demon hunter could rewrite their story. As we stood under the stars, his arm around me, my tail brushing his leg, I knew we'd found something worth fighting for, a future where we were both free.